Okay. Sorry for the technical issues. Well, let's pick up where we left off. We've talked about NFPA standards for the construction, the design of couplings, the lengths and the diameters. Is there any questions?
How do they determine what the diameter is? Is that the
It's,
outside, the inside?
it's the diameter is the inside of the hose. And the NFPA standard is it cannot be no less than the diameter of the hose can be no less than the inside of the hose. So whatever, if the inside hose is 1 3/4 inches, the hose itself is going to be 1 3/4 inches. Same thing with a 6-inch. If a 6 inch is 6 inches diameter on the inside, and it's 6 inches round on the outside. Can't be no less than that. Any other questions?
Have you ever actually seen a water hammer happen?
I've never actually seen a water hammer happen. I've heard stories about it, and it's like makes a loud noise. You'll know when it happens. I've heard stories that your pump will make like a boom noise and grind. I've never actually been around one when it happened, but I've had people, some buddies of mine, tell me what it sounds like and what it actually looks like. I've had one say that water hammer happened and the hose just busted. And you've got 250 psi running through a hose and it busts and cuts it in half. What do you think's gonna happen to the other end of that hose that nobody's holding? You get slapped in the head real quick. Now we're gonna quit.
On the water hammering, you were talking about the valve and the nozzle. Could you not have both of them open to prevent that?
You could, but somebody had to be on that end of that nozzle. A lot of times, firefighters are getting in their air packs, getting ready to go in a house. You've got one guy that's designated to stretch the hose out. Right. A lot of times the pump operator's already got that pump going. He's fixing to get water to that line. So a chance of the nozzle being open right then is very slim. If you got a crew that's pretty fast, it can happen at that time.
Communication. Comes from communication.
Yep.
Are you ready for water?
You're exactly right.
Person on a nozzle will contact the driver, say send water.
Exactly.
Or I'm ready for water.
On departments I've been on in the past, and even in the present, the pump operator never pulls that valve until that doorman, that nozzle man, says charge. 9 times out of 10, he's watching that hose, and the water comes up to the nozzle, he goes ahead and cracks it. Because naturally, before you go in a fire, you want to get some of that air out of that line. Because when you go in that house, you want full water. You don't want no hesitation. So a lot of times, it's like he said, it's a lot about communication. If you got that, very seldom will a water hammer happen. Now, I'm not saying it won't happen on the inside of a house. You may get in a jam where the nozzle shuts real quick. That's a chance to it may or may not, depending on how hard it gets slammed shut. Is there any other questions? Okay, right now we're going to move on to draining and carrying a hose and the purpose behind it. Can you get that slide up there for me? put the hose back in service, you need to drain the hoses. So after a fire call, or on the scene, you'll break the hoses down, each section. And you'll put one end on your shoulder and you'll walk it down from one end to the other, 50-foot section. There's different ways to roll hoses. Some departments want you to just do, like we're going to learn today, is the drain and carry at the same time. That allows you to move it from long distance back to the truck without dragging the hose, damaging. As you drag a hose, you're going to damage couplings. Eventually, over time, they're going to wear, and they won't want to connect. You'll wear them down, outside down to the thread, or on the male end, you're going to damage them threads to where nothing but thread on there and screw on there. You don't want to do that. So there's different ways. Some departments want you to roll the hose up, bring it back to the truck. Most departments carry extra spares, a section of hose, whether it be 2.5 inch and 3/4 inch and a quarter. If they go ahead and load that back on the truck, and the hose that you use will be rolled up or carried back, put on the truck, carried back to the station where they'll clean it. And I'm going to touch a little bit on that. Cleaning them is they'll get back, roll the hoses out in a flat surface. Most departments use either a pressure washer or even a garden hose. Some departments use their booster reel. They hook their engine up to a hydrant, use the booster reel to clean off any debris, soot, anything like that that's on the hose that's going to cause it to mildew or cause damage to the hose before they even put it up. Then they'll hang them up to dry before they roll them up and put them back in service. I know the departments I've been on, they usually carry spare hoses in the truck. So once, say you pull off a pre-connected 200 foot, and 100 foot of that is drug into the house, or 150 is drug into the house. You got about 150 foot section of hoses that's contaminated. Soot, it may have where it's been jagged edged. You don't want to put that back on the truck. So they'll break that down and replace that with new hoses in the spare compartments and take that back to cleaning. And what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how the proper way to drain and carry at the same time. Get the next slide. So what you do is when you break the sections down, you have them in 50-foot sections. Get them in a straight line. You'll start at one end and go to the other, and at shoulder level. But as you're going, hit the next slide, please. You see out here, he's starting to bend it. He'll go over his back, come down to the front, and he'll stop and bend it and feed back. He's making like an accordion. And that accordion, as you're doing that, you're stacking that hose on your shoulder. So when you get to the other end, you just turn around and walk back to the truck. Some departments have what they call a service pickup. I know in Memphis, they have trucks like that. They come and pick up the contaminated hoses, the dirty hoses, take them back to get them clean, instead of piling them back in the engine. They just have one designated truck that picks up all the hose. They take it back, clean it, and get them back to the right departments. So here in a minute, we'll step out into the bay, and we'll demonstrate. I'll use Max. I'll let you get in your turnout gear, and I'll show you how we're going to do this, and then let you do it on your own. And each one of you, I'll grade you on how you do. Is that the last slide or is the next one? If you want to get ready, we'll go out here to the bay. I'll grab this section of hose here, and we'll demonstrate on how to drain and carry. Go ahead.
On the drain and carry, if you're not letting it drain out properly, would that not cause too much weight?
Well, that's the thing. I'm sorry about that. Yes, you're right. When the purpose behind draining the hose is one, it gets all the water out of the hose the best it can. I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of dampness in the hose, but that keeps it from mildewing on the inside. And then if you load it back on the truck, it helps it collapse flatter instead of having pockets of water to where to lay back in your compartment, your pre-connect compartment or on the back of the bed. It'll help it lay down flatter, and that way you can put the whole sections back on there. If you've got say fill line 1,000 foot. What do we say, 2.5? You may not be able to get that 2.5 back on there if you got water pockets and spread out through each section. So that's why we break the hoses, drain the water out, and then load them back on the truck. It just helps them lay flatter and keeps water and moisture out of these hoses to keep them from mildewing. You're gonna probably have a little mildew, but not as bad if you have a pocket of water sitting in the hose up on the bed. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll meet out here in the bay and we'll demonstrate this.